What's up guys? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a quick tutorial where I go from this to this. It's a soft glam makeup look, and it's actually the look that I was wearing in the most recent video that a lot of you guys requested a tutorial for. And I should mention, this might not fit the exact definition of a soft glam makeup tutorial, but I've been seeing those shared a lot here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I wanted to make that aesthetic work for me personally with the coverage and the finish and the colors that I like to use in the amount of time I like to do it all in, which is not that much. So if you're interested in seeing how it's done, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, let's make this snappy. Putting my hair back, and I'm first gonna start with cream contour actually. You can apply this over your foundation if you want to, but I find with something that feels a little bit softer, it's nice to go in with things that I personally can overdo a little bit. For me, that is contour, so that the foundation over top can help buff it out and just really make it look seamless. So this is my trusty Huda Beauty Tantour. It made my 2019 most innovative products of the year because this is truly like a cream, or it's a cream formula unlike any other I have ever tried. I am not being too particular, you will see, and I'm also going to be pretty heavy-handed with it because we are going in with a foundation that is relatively full coverage. If you find yourself doing this technique and know that you have a foundation that is less full coverage, then you can certainly scale it back, or like I mentioned at the very beginning, just go in and apply this as you normally would. But the goal with your bronzer is to be very there, but very soft. And so you can see, I am just applying it into the hollows of my cheeks, where my temples are, and underneath my jawline here. That is one side done, just so you can see as a comparison. Let's go ahead and do the other side now. I will try not to lean on that transition too much in this video, but it really does make the tutorial kind of snappy, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm so sorry for that, let's move on. Foundation is next, and to keep things very glowy and natural looking, I tend to reach for a foundation that is a little bit more glowy. You totally determine the coverage. I personally, with my acne scarring, active breakouts, tend to go more full coverage, but what I hope this tutorial helps you realize is that you can go more natural if that's what you're more comfortable with. You can reach for something more full coverage, but it's still, at the end of this look, is going to look natural and soft, but glam. So this is the Believe Beauty Skin Finish Foundation, and I am just going to start off with a pump of that on the back of my hand. This shade, by the way, is Soft Beige. And I'm just gonna start in the areas where I would like more coverage, around my breakouts. Also, if you apply your bronzer first, in that area, so I can really start blending that out first as well. And if you haven't used this foundation, you absolutely should try it if you can get your hands on it. It's one of my faves. This is less than half of one pump. Like, it's surprisingly full coverage. You can see the dewy finish here, and I don't know how it does it, but it manages to look like second skin on me, and it is $5. Pretty sure it's $5. So there's my foundation done. I even have a little bit left to spare, but I want to go a little bit light because I'm trying to keep it soft. So for the concealer, I am actually switching things up. Normally I would go in with my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, but I wanted something a little bit more glowy. This also has a little bit less coverage, but totally okay for the look I'm going for today. It's the Beauty Bakery Instabake 3-in-1 Concealer, and that I'm going to dab directly in my under eye area where I have the most discoloration in my inner corners, and then around blemishes as needed across my face. A little bit of this goes a long way, so even though it's not quite as full coverage as some concealers out there, it still does some serious work, so I would not overdo it with this. It'll just give you more of a natural, dewy finish and coverage. And normally I am a finger blender when it comes to concealer in my under eye area, but I think the texture of this lends itself to needing the warmth of my hands to really blend it in. So, Now, here is where we start getting ultra soft and glam, actually. I am setting my face with a Radiant setting powder. This is my Lancome Absolute Powder. It's called Radiant Smoothing Powder, and it does exactly that. If you are scared of a Radiant or shimmering loose setting powder, don't be. I think they are incredibly underrated because people fear that they're going to look like they're wearing shimmer or glitter all over their faces, but done right, when the shimmer is fine enough, it just gives you this lit from within, like ethereal looking glow about you. And anytime I get compliments on my skin in person or in a video, I have always set my skin with this. The Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder in Glow is another very similar one. And I also just put in an order at Ulta because it looks like, finally, brands are starting to catch on and they're making not only loose setting powders, more loose setting powders that are radiant, but also pressed setting powders that have a radiant finish. So some of those are on the way, and I'm hoping to do either a showdown or a top 5, or I don't know, we'll see. Now, a little bit of a detour for the brows. I'm just gonna go in with some tinted brow gel. This is my Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Gel in the shade Medium Brown. Normally, I would use a thin pencil to draw hair-like strokes and kind of add body to my brows, but because I want something a little bit less rigid and structured, and I wanna focus more on like big, soft, fluffy brows, I'm just going in with this today. Starting with brushing them up here, clearly I need a brow trim. I will tame those eventually, but I like to start by brushing up to help fluff them upwards, kind of following the shape of my brow here you see, and I will let that set while I am doing my other eye. I know, it might look a little crazy, but just wait and see. And then I am just repeating the same thing on the other brow. Now that the first brow has had some time to dry, I'm not dipping my spoolie back in there because I don't want to overload it on product, but what I'm going to do is really get my spoolie in there and start fluffing those lashes around and start taming them more to the place where I want them. So if you want them straight up, you totally can. I want more of a sleek line around the top, so I'm just going to mold and shape them there. And what I find, the piece of this technique that I love, is that first letting them dry up and then smoothing them down gives them a little bit more fullness and body. It's almost like backcombing for your brows, but way less damaging. So those are the brows done. Now on to the rest of the face. This is where you can either retouch your bronzer if you feel like your foundation diluted it a little bit, or you can go on and apply your first round of bronzer if that's what you're into. I am actually pretty happy with the way this turned out. It's a nice, soft, bronzy contour, and I'm going straight into blush, which is very, very glowy. I have been obsessed with the Beauty Bakery Cotton Candy Champagne palette, and I use it very precisely. It's something to that effect, and then I just go and apply it directly to the tops of my cheekbones and work it back towards my hairline. It is literally that simple. If I find like this where I maybe have a little less pigment to my blush, I'll go in with, you know, something like this 24-hour champagne diet that has more of a strong berry tone, layer it up as such. But there's really no exact science to using these. They are just beautifully illuminating blushes, and as they melt into the other products on your face, your foundation, everything else, they become even more natural looking and radiant. It's hard to explain. But again, every time I get compliments on my skin, it's not because my skin's great, it is because I am using some combination of all of these intensely glowy products. And the other great thing about this kind of blush is you don't need highlight. It's a multitasker, which we love. The eyes I keep very simple. A wash of 1, maybe 2 shades across the lid. In fact, in the last video, the look that I'm kind of recreating here, I was just wearing 1 shade from the Sydney Grace Endearing Love palette, the shade Deanna, down here in the corner. But for the sake of changing it up today, kind of showing you how another shadow might look, I'm gonna go in with the shade right next to it, which is called Robert. It is this mid-tone matte brown. So you can kind of see how a 1 shade matte look goes with this. This brush, by the way, is a Morphe M573, which I love for 1 shadow looks because it's dense enough to where you can pack on some solid color in the lid, but really gets a good job fluffing that shade out throughout the crease and beyond. It's a little broad for the under eye unless you want something relatively smoked out, but honestly, it does the job. Okay, I'm just gonna use the transition one more time. I mean, come on, it's so satisfying, is it not? Now moving on to mascara. This is my L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. Although, when I was first wearing this look, I was actually wearing semi-permanent at-home lash extensions from a brand called Lashify. Those have all officially come off. I want to try a couple more styles from them before I do a full review, but honestly, guys, I really liked them. They made the day-to-day so much faster and easier, and they were shockingly easy to apply. And now my lashes like feel anemic without them, which we will remedy, but I just like, it really changed the way I did my daily makeup in a good way. While those lashes dry, I'm going to move on to my lips. For the lipstick, I'm using a L'Oreal Color Riche lipstick in the shade Ultra Nude. And I do slightly over draw my lips because this is a great nude shade for me to do that with. Now you could totally leave this nude, still very soft, matte. It's like a satiny matte kind of thing, but I really wanted to bring the glam piece of this out. So I went in with a gloss. This is the Smashbox Los Angeles lip gloss in the shade Actors Guild. So it's like a peachy, orangey base with beautiful golden shift to it, and it really just takes these lips up a notch. And last, now that my lashes are dry, I am going in with some false lashes. You know my favorites, my magnetic accent lashes. Not just because they are the easiest false lashes to apply in my opinion, but because they're accent lashes, you get the glam of a false lash, but they're still soft. So to apply these, you first take your top lash, and just like you would with a regular false lash, you align the outermost point of that lash band with the outermost point of your natural upper lash line, making sure they're as close to your lash line as possible. Then you take that bottom lash, and I like to look into a mirror that's probably about half a foot away, looking down into it because it makes me focus on something farther away as opposed to my fingers close to my eye. You bring the lash up so it attaches to that magnetic lash strip, kind of fluff and blend your lashes so they blend in with the falsie, and that's it. It's so fast and easy for what is a pretty glam look. So those are my steps to a fast, easy, soft glam look. When I'm not talking you through it, I promise this takes literally 5, maybe 10 minutes every day, especially if I'm not doing my lashes. And I hope you found this helpful. If you were looking for ways to make this look work for yourself, would love to hear what you think down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye guys.